Have you been a good boy and girl this year? Santa's got some presents. Let's dig into Santa's sack. What does he have? Oh, a Turbo Man. Wait, this is for Jamie. This isn't for you guys.
Oh, God. Dude, I've always wanted one. Can't do that.
I have. The movie we're talking about tonight. Black Christmas on 4K. Boom! This one's for you. And you, and you, and you.
And put that cookie down now.
Hey everyone, welcome to Straight Jacket Talk, where it's two guys, a girl, and a horror show. My name is Kevin, and I'm joined by a guy who likes to make obscene phone calls. It's Nathan.
Pretty pink pussy.
Pretty picky cunt.
I gotta go.
Suck my juicy cock.
Juicy cock.
You sound just like Billy.
Both of you are blushing so hard right now.
And I'm joined by a girl who likes to use sherry as mouthwash. It's Jill.
It does the job. It kills all of the germs. It's tasty.
Especially if you take it out of the toilet tank.
Yeah. No one's ever gonna look there though. So it's a good spot.
We are reviewing Black Christmas from 1974. The original screenplay was written by Roy Moore. This is directed by Bob Clark, famous Bob Clark, who did A Christmas Story. He loves his Christmas theme, no?
Apparently.
He's got the Christmas Story. He's got Black Christmas. He's all over the place. I love it. Let's play the budget game.
I'm disqualified. I edited the Mouse and Madness podcast on this movie, so.
I thought you would forget. I forgot. Jill.
Yeah.
Black Christmas had a budget of $686,000. Do you know how much it made at the box office?
Is that in Canadian doll hairs?
I don't know.
So.
I think it's in American dollars, yes.
Freedom bucks.
I feel like it probably made its money back and then probably a bit more. But are we talking about like in Canada or like worldwide?
Worldwide.
Total?
Yeah.
I'll say 7 million.
You're close. You went over though. It made
Okay.
It only made $4 million at the box office.
Okay.
And part of it is what you talked about. This is a Canadian movie. And when they brought it to America, they didn't know how to market this movie because with Black Christmas, they thought it was kind of given this black exploitation sort of movie. So they actually changed the name to Silent Night, Evil Night. So it was a little bit caught in the middle there of it, what it was trying to be.
Interesting.
On Rotten Tomatoes, Black Christmas has a 71% critic score and a 76% audience score. But what did we think of this movie? Before we go any further, if you could please hit the like and subscribe button, and also hit that notification bell, because when we have a new video, you'll be the first to know. Isn't that right, Nathan?
Yes, it's a privilege.
Certainly is. Now, Black Christmas was my pick for an episode. The reason why I picked Black Christmas for us to review is this is one of my most favorite horror movies. And actually, I think this is a must watch for like a Christmas horror movie. If you have a Christmas horror movie list, you got to put this one at the very top, I think, because the atmosphere, it feels like Christmas, especially in Canada. The cold and everything just comes through in this movie. You know, I love the colors. It's a scary idea that such a joyful holiday like Christmas could have such horrible things happening. You know, I also think this is one of the most influential movies of all time. I actually just saw this movie for the first time last year, and I'd always heard, oh, Black Christmas really influenced Halloween and a lot of the other slashers. When I finally saw it, I was like, whoa, I get it. This really does feel like it could be the prequel to Halloween in a lot of ways. I also love that it has like an all-female kind of cast. I think that's really, really cool. I think it's cool that you don't see the killer or know the motivation. I love that stuff.
That eye shot. is
Yeah,
really great.
right.
Yeah.
It's so good. And I think too, like the phone calls themselves are just scary, and they influence some of the stuff you would see in Scream down the line. So, I mean, this just I think seeps into horror throughout time, and I really wish it was kind of talked about more. I don't feel like it is, so that's why I picked for us to review it. Jill, what's your overall thoughts on Black Christmas?
This is my first time watching it. I had never seen it. I really wasn't that aware of like the 70s version of it because I was a teenager when the like remake came out, like 2006 or whatever. I didn't even know there was one after that. So I always heard that the remake was kind of bad. So I just associated Black Christmas as being not a good Christmas horror movie up until recently, where I'm seeing like lots of praise about it. So yeah, this is my first time seeing it. I wasn't really sure what to expect. I had always had the expectation that this would be kind of like an evil Santa or like a serial killer Santa for some reason. I don't know why. So I was really surprised when it was actually like kind of a home invasion movie, just like all these tropes that like a slasher has, and like the phone call is coming from inside the house and like all that stuff. And the way that it's done is just, it's so good. It's so atmospheric. It's very unsettling. And I felt unsettled from the beginning to the end. And it had a lot of like realistic aspects, like all the vulgarity, I want to say, makes it seem more real. And just like the dumb shit that Barbara says is like, why would you even put this in a movie?
Darling, you can't rape a townie.
But I think it adds like kind of a realness to it because we all know someone like Barbara, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
A problem
But yeah, I
drinker.
thought it was super scary and unsettling. And I don't know, I was very impressed with it. What did you think, Nathan?
I saw this for the first time about a year ago when the Mouths of Madness covered it. I liked it a lot. I do feel like everybody else liked it a lot more than I did. I think this movie has some pacing problems that causes me to kind of like, okay, let's get to it. Let's get to the plot. That being said, it is a good horror movie. It's got a lot of great characters. It's got some really great messaging. It's really ahead of its time too. Horror gets a bad rap a lot of times for being sexist, and a lot of times it deserves that rap, especially when you're talking about going back to the 70s and 80s. You ignore that sometimes to watch a good horror movie, but it gets stuck in the back of your brain. Whereas this one is ahead of its time because it was like the opposite of that. It had characters who felt real, like fully fleshed out human beings. I do feel like it is a little bit stuck in between, though. Like you're post Psycho, but pre like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, which are movies that I think sort of improved upon the formula. And it's like a step towards that.
Would you say that it kind of has like an unrefined kind of gritty quality to it that, you know, Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre like improved on? Like it smoothed all that out?
I guess so. It's got all the tropes, but there's times where it feels like it's not quite sure where it wants to go. There's times where it feels like it's filling time between the big events, like especially a lot of the stuff with the going to the cops and the cops don't believe them. And then we're tracing phone calls for a half an hour. There's still some good stuff in there, but it started to drag for me. And yeah, I do think what you're saying is true, that Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween really refined the tropes. A lot of them are from Psycho, but I mean, this introduced some of its own too. Although When a Stranger Calls did the phone call thing first. I just feel like this is sort of like a stepping stone to the really, really classic slashers of the 70s. It's a good stepping stone, a fun stepping stone, but I just don't put it on that same level as those movies.
Yeah, I could see that too, because I think this is very much like a blueprint for like a Halloween, and even some of like the Friday the 13th movies too. I mean, a lot of what they took is some of the kind of scary stuff in this, like the point of view shots and the killer really not knowing the motivation of the killer and things like that, and not seeing too much of the killer. And like Jill said too at the beginning, it really has this creepy, unsettling feeling throughout the whole movie, in my opinion. The way they do this too is they establish at the beginning of the movie that the killer is in the attic. And we're the only ones who know that throughout the movie.
Yeah. And that is great. Unsettling is what you called it, Jill. And I think that is the correct word for that. Although it did get frustrating that at no point did anybody look in the attic.
No one went in the attic.
Except for Mrs. McHenry.
That's true.
And that didn't end well for her. But the fact that the cops never went up there when we're looking for a missing girl for days.
It's frustrating.
A little frustrating. Yeah, the entire movie, the cops never looked in the fucking attic.
These cops didn't seem, though, like they were fully competent.
Not Nash, but I thought...
They are Canadian cops, I guess.
Oh, no.
Even though at the cop station, there's like a little American flag.
Flags.
I was like, that's cute, because I just saw, like, I forget the name of the town with the police cars. And I was like, that's obviously Ontario. Like, what are you guys trying to do here?
What's his name, too? Claire's boyfriend had, like, the thickest Canadian accent, too.
Really?
Yeah, I've been taking her out.
Well, you can notice it when he goes to the police station and he's yelling at John Saxon's character. And he's just like, a boat.
I want to know why nothing's being done about Claire Harrison.
Like, I can't do it, but...
About?
Yeah, like, a boot. It's just coming through, like, very strong. You know what, though? Like, being set in Canada, like I said, it makes the atmosphere feel cold. I mean, it's cold, it's windy. The scene where they're out looking for that girl that they end up finding dead, like, that feels fucking cold. I felt cold watching it.
Mm-hmm. And they have the fire going.
Yeah, in a trash can.
Hell yeah.
It's just like, that's something only homeless people do, isn't it? What is this?
I want to touch on the characters in this movie, because I feel like one of the best things that Bob Clark really did was he made these pretty, cool characters, fleshed out characters, especially with different personalities, adding in humor, things like that. Jill, what did you think of, like, the cast, and especially Jess as the final girl? Because I feel like not many people talk about her in Final Girls throughout horror movies.
I think I saw this on your letterbox. I think you had said something like that. Like, she was also like, one of the probably original Final Girls, and no one really talks about her, and no one really talks about Black Christmas either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but I thought she was great. I loved her character, and I thought she was competent, and like you're rooting for her, and I really liked her. I loved the actress who played like the sorority mom,
Mrs. Mack.
She was so funny. Yeah, she was ridiculous. I loved her.
B is for booze.
B for booze.
It was like campy, but I don't know. It was still kind of serious at the same time.
It felt real, though. Like, that's what you said.
Yeah.
These characters felt real. They didn't, like they were comical and stuff, but like that's kind of real life, like, especially I love the scene where Mrs. Mack has the what was it, like the dress or the robe they gave her, and she's
she hated it.
She hated it.
Yeah.
What did she say?
Use for this as I have for a chastity belt.
She was like, I wouldn't wear this to get my own liver out.
Jesus, I wouldn't wear this to have my liver out.
Dude, that's my mom. Like, I stopped getting my mom clothes for gifts because I would get her something really nice and she'd be like, that has a pattern on it. And she'd like, go and return it. I'd be like,
Oh,
so, I get it.
I can just picture, especially with the scene where she's holding it up and all the girls are around her and she's like, like she's trying to force a smile.
I'm not going to bed.
Oh, yeah.
And
my
her
goodness.
interactions with Mr. Harrison were fucking great.
That
Mr.
dude,
Harrison,
he was
sucks.
so uptight.
Oh my God. I'm very disappointed with the atmosphere here. I intend to do something about it. About it.
I'm very disappointed in this atmosphere. I intend to do something about it.
About it.
What the fuck?
He had a very Canadian accent as
God.
well, actually.
Yeah.
You know what though? That reminds
She's
me.
got her hand up on the poster.
Oh yeah,
The
she's
butt.
blocking.
Oh my God. And he clearly sees it and he's like walking out of the room and like looking at it. That's so funny.
She was saying too that she was like these girls would go and hump the Eiffel Tower if they could climb up there.
The Leaning
or the
Tower of
Tower
Pisa.
of
Yeah,
Pisa.
Tower of Pisa. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be responsible for the morals of every girl in this goddamn house. These broads hump the Leaning Tower of Pisa if they can get up there.
I love that we have that like humor at the same time. There's like Claire's dead body, right? In the
yeah.
closet. And there's always that kind of like grim lining, even though something funny is happening.
Right.
Like Claude, the cat, when she's looking for him, it's kind of funny because it's like, she's looking for the cat and she's about to eat it because she's looking for this fucking cat and she won't just go to her cab.
Claude? Claude? I can't see a damn thing. God damn it, Claude, I'm gonna have you fixed.
But then the attic, there's so much tension because like Billy is up there and
Yeah.
I was like actually like covering my eyes during that part because I was scared that something was going to pop out. And
yeah.
also Claude dying. Did Claude die?
I don't think he died. We see
According to
him.
Bear Claw, he's an accomplice of Billy.
The cat is an accomplice in all of this. He is responsible for the first 2 kills.
So
Okay.
We
But
see,
yeah,
we see
I love
Claude on Claire, but like he's like licking her, so he's
Yeah.
still alive.
Okay, yeah. I'm thinking of something else where a cat died and what the hell am I thinking of? I don't know. But I'm glad he's alive then. Maybe. Where's Claude?
I'm not a
Claude.
cat person, so I could take or
You
leave
could
it
care
either
less
way.
about Claude.
I mean, it's kind of refreshing to see a cat, though, for once in a horror movie instead of dogs. That's why I'm happy, because I don't want to see a dog die. Cat dies, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I draw the line at dogs, though.
Yeah.
The cat was a pain in the ass too,
God damn it, Claude, I'm gonna have you fixed.
so like that all makes sense,
Yeah.
Nathan, who's your favorite character? You like Barb in this?
No, I really love all the characters. Even the characters that I don't like at all are done well enough that I feel very justified in not liking them. But no, Barb is not my favorite character. If I knew Barb in real life, she would not be in my life for very long. Because I can't hang around problem drinkers, which she is very, very obviously a very bad alcoholic. If she hadn't been murdered, she'd be on dialysis by the age of 30.
God.
No, Mrs. McHenry is my
So
favorite
good.
character.
Yeah, she's so
'Cause,
good.
I mean, she's obviously an alcoholic too, but she keeps her shit together. So, I could probably deal with that a little bit better.
She tries to be classy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Drinking sherry instead of whatever happens to be available.
Also, I love that she like bums a ride to go shopping with
Mr. Harrison.
yeah. That's so funny.
What did you think of Jess as the final girl?
Oh, I thought she was great. I agree with everything Jill said about her. Very competent, very smart. She stood up for herself. There was never, that conflict where, well, should I do what Peter says? I don't know. I really love him or any of that shit.
Right.
Because, we're obviously at the end of that relationship. And she knows very much that she is not interested in anything he has to say about her life.
I want to talk to you tonight.
There's nothing to discuss, Peter.
I think there is.
I'm not going to change my mind.
Which is refreshing, because usually a lot of the conflict would come from, well, I don't know, but I love him. I mean, as a final girl, she's really kind of refreshing compared to a lot of final girls, and how much agency she has. And
I love too the scene where Sergeant Nash there calls her, tells her the killer is in the house. And
Sergeant Nash is the dumbest fucking character.
That's such a spooky scene, though. I was like so spooked.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking Lieutenant Fuller very, very clearly said, do not tell her he is in the house.
Yeah.
What does he do?
2 seconds later, he's telling her he's in the house.
Nash, be calm. Don't tell her that the guy's in the house. Just tell her to put down the phone and walk straight out the front door.
Yes, the caller is in the house.
That scene, though, that's cemented like Jess as this, like, to me, this ultimate final girl, because she could have put the phone down and left her friends. She doesn't know what, obviously her friends are dead, but she doesn't know that.
She doesn't know that, yeah.
Yeah, so morally, she makes this call, like this judgment call. I'm going to pick up, what did she get, like a fire poker?
Fire poker, yeah.
Yeah, it goes up. Oh my God, that scene was very tense. Like, I hate that. I hate knowing, like, somebody else is in the house.
Yeah.
That's a really, really great scene.
Super tense. One of the things you said was that, she had agency. And that's one of the things I like about this movie is that it's, early 70s or whatever. And we have all these women like going to, I don't know, school, like a university or college, getting like higher education. And I love that they're there and they're doing that, but they're also just like having a good time.
Yeah.
And I really love the atmosphere of them just like drinking and having fun, but like also, they're students and everything.
The thing is, you see that a lot in horror movies from the 70s and 80s, but it's usually so that you can get them to take their clothes off to be ogled by the men in the audience.
Right.
It's like this is just women having fun being women.
Yeah.
It's so refreshing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. They didn't go the route of like random pillow fights and like taking
In lingerie.
and like running outside in the rain.
Or snow.
Or snow, yeah.
What was that, Sorority House Massacre 2?
Yeah.
There's a scene in Sorority House Massacre 2 where they literally just run outside into the rain and they see a scary guy and then they run right the fuck back inside. And the whole thing is just an excuse to get them wet.
That's the perfect example, though. That's like, this is Sorority House done the right way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a similar concept in a way, yeah.
I got to bring up, you talked about Peter. This dude is one of the most unlikable guys ever.
Let's get one thing straight. You are not going to abort that baby.
Peter, you're not going to tell me what I can and cannot do.
Jess, if you try getting an abortion...
I think you better leave.
If you try getting an
I
abortion...
said get out.
Yeah,
Phil?
yeah, I think he's one of the most unlikable characters in like horror movies in general. But
Here's
also
what
he was a red herring, which kind of...
I want to get into this because Billy is the killer, or the killer we're going to call Billy. We don't know what his real name is, but we'll say it's Billy. Peter is the red herring, right? This dude's being a dick. Obviously, he finds out that Jess doesn't want to keep the baby. He fumbles his piano. Was it a recital? I don't even know what that was.
A little aside there, the way his piano recital sounded, it felt too intentional for it to be him just fucking it up. Just as a musician, I'm saying, like, I understand that it's very dissonant, but you can do dissonance on purpose, and that's what that sounded like to me as a replacement for him actually fucking it up. But
He was overcome. No, he was overcome with anger. And then,
oh my God.
And then he comes to Jess and he's like, hey, we're getting married, which, like, I hate that shit. He's like, we're getting married. I'm leaving.
Worst proposal ever.
A search party that was looking for Claire found a little girl murdered.
I'm quitting the conservatory and we're getting married.
By the way,
he's so romantic, right? And so this is my question, right? Because then she turns him down again, and he flips out, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the movie, Jess is hiding in the basement, and Peter breaks that window open in the basement, and he comes in there looking for Jess.
Jess, is that you?
This is clearly a scene where he's there to kill her, is he not? Joe, what do you think?
Peter and Billy are kind of like, they're supposed to like mirror each other. Like Billy is a serial killer and he's like psycho and everything, but he is like preying on these women, killing them, like actually killing them. And I feel like Peter, I keep trying to say Peter. I can't remember his name because he sucks so bad. Anyways.
That makes sense.
Peter is like, he kind of represents like oppression against women, I guess, in society. Like he got her pregnant and he's trying to advocate for her what to do with the baby. Keep it instead of getting an abortion. He's trying to force her to marry him. And he's just like a giant red flag. And I love that she's able to fight off him. And it goes back to the agency thing we were talking about. She retains her agency. She does what she wants. And she also manages to like fight off Billy, who's trying to kill her. And he also like targets her because if Billy's the killer, he's like targeting her for trying to get rid of the baby as well. Like he knows that, she's pregnant, right? And that she wants to get rid of the baby. And like, he's like punishing her for that as well.
You selfish bitch. You're talking about killing our baby as though you were having a wart removed.
Just like having a wart removed. Oh my God.
Yeah, that might go into too, like some of his backstory that we really don't know, but he brings up, like it sounds like his childhood trauma through his phone calls.
Yeah.
I mean, Nathan, what's your thoughts? Is Peter there to kill her? I mean, are there technically two killers in this movie?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past Peter to kill her in a fit of rage because he seems like that kind of guy who might. He doesn't see.
He'd punch a hole in the wall. He punched the window.
Well, yeah, he's the kind of guy who punches a window in anger during an argument, or maybe destroys a very, very expensive piano. But it's probably $10,000 there. The problem I have with him is a red herring, though, is that he never really gave me serial killer vibes as much as he gave me I could kill my girlfriend vibes.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's in the basement. I got to be honest with you. This is one of the issues I have with this movie. Is I think the whole fucking ending needs to be rewritten. All of it.
Damn.
Like everything from the basement on is so full of things that make me go, what? Why? Huh? The question you're asking to me is a result of poor writing rather than a result of logic that needs to be figured out.
This is something I found on this watch. And let me know if I'm off base here, because I never picked up on this before, because I also questioned, like, what is going on? Why is Peter breaking into this basement window and shit? Like, it's so weird, because he wouldn't know that she's in trouble. I mean,
no, and the way he approaches her is like, what's going on? Why are you worried me? Like,
Jess, you had me worried. What are you doing down here?
This is what I found this time. They go to a shot of John Saxon. He's trying to contact the officer that is outside of the sorority house in the car. And we see that his throat's been slashed. Yeah. I don't think it's Billy that did this. I think it is Peter that did this.
Oh, really?
Billy does not leave the attic unless he goes into the house. He does not go back down the trellis. I mean, to do this, he would have to go down the trellis outside the house, go over to the cop car, and kill him. Right? And then go back up. I mean, he could do it, but it would make more sense that Peter did it, because we do get a shot of Peter like hiding behind a tree out in the cold with just his stupid turtleneck on.
I mean, I guess that's possible. I don't know.
I just assumed Billy did it. I don't know.
Yeah, I just sort of assumed that Peter is the red
That's
herring
what I
and
thought
that
too.
Billy did everything, but
That's what I thought too. But to me, I think this is two killers. I think Billy obviously is killing all the girls inside the house.
You've been
And
watching a lot of Scream.
well, here's the thing. They're not in
Gonna be
cahoots with
watching a
each
lot of
other.
Scream soon. Right.
Yeah. They're not in cahoots with each other. They're not really working together. Peter doesn't know there's another killer in the house.
Right.
You know, he's
Yeah.
going to kill Jess specifically because it's one of those things that, you know, these crazy guys are out there. Like, if you're not going to be with me, you're not going to be with anybody, you know?
Yeah.
Or they are in cahoots with each other and they are both Ghostface.
That's the twist we need.
This
Maybe
is
that's what
Scream
Scream got
Zero.
out of it.
Billy
Billy
Loomis.
like Billy
Billy
Loomis.
Loomis.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what, too?
Peter like stew.
There's a scene earlier in the movie.
Nice.
Got sound effect guy.
I love that.
No, there's a scene earlier where Jess is on the phone, right? And we see shadows behind her, and we're like, oh shit, Billy's coming for her. And it's
Yeah.
Peter.
Peter, Jesus, you scared the hell out of me.
Peter was upstairs. Didn't he say he
Right.
was like taking a nap?
Yeah.
Maybe him and Billy talked.
I don't know. Actually, that's a cool thing about this movie, the shadows. You can kind of play where's the shadows in this movie, because I've watched it 3 times now, once for Mouths of Madness, twice for this, and each time I saw new times where Billy was in the background.
I love that. Let's talk about Billy, because I really like this killer. I think he is very underrated too and not talked about. And maybe that's because we don't really see a lot of him in this movie, but I think that makes it scary. I think the phone calls are scary, how he throws his voice and shit. I mean,
Yeah.
it's insane. You know, the guy who does his voice is this actor called Nick Mancuso, and I guess he would stand on
a great
his
name.
head. Yeah. He would stand on his head to make some of these sounds on the phone. It's just insane. Jill, what'd you think of Billy? I know you said that you were creeped out, especially with his one eye showing.
I like that he was very ambiguous and we didn't really know much about him. Like, there's things that you can pick up, like the little doll thing or like Agnes, all that kind of stuff. Like, you can pick up whatever kind of narrative you want to put together with that. But I like that he's very ambiguous. You don't really see him that much. It does make it scarier. And I think maybe that's where, like, Michael Myers, his power to me is that he doesn't really have much of a motive.
Right.
Which is kind of the same thing with Billy. And also they don't, in the original Halloween, he's like also not like shown too much, and it relies on atmosphere and suspense and tension. And I feel like this is doing that.
Because you're not depending on this killer being like scary either. Like, there's no mask or anything like that. So
Yeah, he's just like kind of deranged.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Nathan, what's your thoughts on Billy?
Yeah, I mean, they're similar to Jill's. I do think you could. The phone calls are terrifying because they're nonsensical, but like also you feel like you could find a narrative in there, which is basically what Jill just said. And him being in the shadows, yeah, that's all terrifying. Also, when he all of a sudden stops being hysterical and just goes, "I'm going to kill you."
You fucking creep.
I'm going to kill you.
This is like all of a sudden it was like Seymour Skinner. Just very matter of fact. I'm going to kill you. That's fucking terrifying. The idea of a killer you never see has sort of been abandoned a little bit in modern horror. There always has to be a reveal at the end. If they're taking the Jaws route, where you're not going to see it most of the film, you're still going to see it eventually. And I know, audiences want to see the killer. I think a lot of modern audiences would be like, well, I was disappointed. I never saw what was I supposed to be afraid of? I never saw anything.
Have you ever seen Skinamarink?
No, I have been very interested, but also kind of nervous that I'm not going to like it at all.
Also Canadian, but also, if you're not going to show your villain, you need to have very powerful atmosphere and everything else in order to carry that. Or people, especially in a contemporary audience, they're going to be disappointed because they want something visual. So you really have to pack on the extra stuff, the atmosphere.
Which I think this movie does with aplomb.
Yeah. I just wonder, though, if this movie would frustrate a more modern audience because there is a lot of open-ended stuff. They don't really hold your hand too much. I mean, we've already talked about, Peter and the red herring and,
Yeah.
I think it would frustrate a mainstream modern audience, but A24 has sort of proven that there is an audience that does still value subtlety. You just can't expect to make, hundreds of millions of dollars as a result of making that movie. So,
yeah.
And this was low budget too. Even at the time, it was less than $1 million.
That's true. I think,
I don't want to spoil The Lighthouse. Sorry. But,
what I was going to say too is, and it's never really revealed, but that little girl that's found dead in the park, that seems like it was Billy that killed her, no?
That's what it seems like to me, which makes me think Billy could have killed the cop.
True.
He could have just gone down the trellis and been like, gone back up.
I thought that Billy killed the girl in the park, and then he made his way trying to map out Billy's routes.
I was trying to figure the timing of that. At the end of the movie, John Saxon says something along the lines of, he must have made a call every time after every kill. And there is no kill before that first call that we see while they're at the Christmas party. But what was this? When did that little girl go missing? Was it the day before that scene?
Maybe, but also they were accustomed to his phone calls, right?
That's true.
So maybe there were killings going on.
There was, they did make reference to a raping that had happened before too.
That was the line that made me not like Barb.
Yeah.
I like Barb. I do. She won me over a little bit. I still wouldn't hang out with her in real life.
She fed alcohol to a little kid.
It's a bit late to head out now.
I think the little bugger schnockert, son of a bitch.
Oh my God, that was so funny.
It was. But I don't think that's Billy's MO.
Rape?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, he didn't
leaving. If you're saying that, you're not, this person is still alive.
Yeah.
Because you don't just say she got raped. You say she was raped and murdered.
Right.
So.
Right.
I don't think that has anything to do with Billy.
Might have been Patrick or Peter or
it could have been Peter.
Whatever his name is.
Wouldn't put it past Peter, that's for
Peter.
sure.
I love, my favorite Billy scenes are the very end where Jess finds him up in the room. Was it a closet he was hiding in?
I think so. Or maybe it was just he was behind the door that was open in the hall. I'm not sure though.
And then she slams his hand right in the door and he flips out, and then it's like this chase scene in the house that's like the scariest fucking thing because you don't see him. All you see is his hand grab her hair.
Yeah.
And then she's down and you could just hear him flipping out, man. Oh my God. That was like, scary as hell.
The fact that he's very human also makes it scary, I think, because it feels more like something that could actually happen.
Check the attic.
Yeah, maybe check the fucking attic, especially if there's been somebody missing for 2 days.
Also, there was like a light on like every night up there, shining on her face, like rocking in that chair. No one saw that. The police officer outside never saw that.
Oh.
It reminded me of the scene from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation where Chevy Chase gets locked in the attic and his family's going without him and he's up in the eave like trying to get it open.
Oh my God.
But like I feel like they were shooting like that on purpose with like Claire rocking right in front of that window up in the attic because it's like it's right there. It's right there.
Yeah. And it's terrifying imagery, for sure.
I love how Claire's the first death in the house there, right? And she's seen throughout the whole movie. Just goes back to her.
Claude's licking her at one point, which that was especially creepy.
Yeah.
Also, why I wouldn't have minded if Claude had died.
Wow.
I got to talk about the ending. The very ending. And I know, Nathan, you said you didn't like the very ending with everything going on.
I mean, I could read out all the questions I have about it. But go
All
ahead.
right, do it up.
Why is Jess passed out? Why would you leave Jess in the house alone when she's passed out? How did the reporters get into the fucking house? Mr. Harrison has passed out randomly, but they say he's in shock. So you got to get him to the hospital. But wait a minute, Jess is also passed out. Isn't she passed out from shock? Shouldn't you get her to the hospital? How come nobody has checked the goddamn attic?
And they let her sleep there. That's the weird thing. It's like kind of a crime scene.
There should not be reporters in the house. The police tape should be at the edge of the yard. You should not be able to get closer than the street. I'm none of that. You combine that with the shit with Peter in the basement, and I was just like, are you really doing this to me in the last 5-10 minutes of this movie?
You gotta call the RCMP.
What's the RCMP? What did I?
The Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Oh,
the Mounties.
Yes, call the Mounties. Get them on their horses and their funny red coats and
funny. I used to collect their trading cards. They have trading cards. The cops. Really? Yeah, the cops with their horses.
Whoa.
And they would come to like your town with their horses and you could like pet them and shit. And you get their cards.
That's awesome.
Is there an American equivalent of what they do?
I don't know.
No?
I don't think so.
Okay. I was going to say, wouldn't that be like the FBI having trading cards or something like that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I kind of chalk this up to incompetent police force overall.
But I don't think Lieutenant Fuller is portrayed as incompetent. I think you've got an incompetent Officer Nash.
True.
And I think that Lieutenant Fuller's incompetence is just poorly written. That's my opinion on the subject.
I got you. Well, this gets us to my ultimate question, right? At the end, Jess is killed, right?
With her being that vulnerable, because even though she's in shock, she doesn't have to go to the hospital, but Mr. Harrison, who's in shock, does. Yeah, with her being that vulnerable, I don't see how she survives that. If they're leaving for like a couple of hours, I think they said.
Jill, what do you think? Is Jess dead at the end?
I hope not. I like to think of it as she could take him again. But I don't know, it's also so harrowing. Like, that's one of the things about this movie is, like, it's unsettling, but it is kind of bleak. And I know for a fact she probably doesn't live, but I want to believe.
Right.
It leaves you feeling kind of shitty. Honestly.
The last scene in the movie is the title card, right? And we're on the outside of the house. But
yeah.
Do you know what happens? The phone rings.
God damn it. Maybe it's Claude.
Claude's making a phone call.
Or he killed Claude.
Yeah, he's the next kill. I'll believe that, please.
Oh my gosh.
God damn it.
I didn't think about that either, but now it's clear. Like now it's like, fuck.
But he's calling nobody.
He's gonna wait for
the phone.
He's gonna wait for them to get back in there. He wants his fucking phone call.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't have an answering machine, I'm sure. I think that's pre-answering machine, so.
Can you imagine?
Oh my god, beep.
Suck my juicy cock.
You're pretty pink, but what?
Oh my
How
God.
come Mrs. McHenry didn't get any of these calls? She might have been into it.
Well, you never know.
She was always, shopping or
Or
drunk.
drinking,
Yeah. Passed out. I don't know.
threatening to have the cat fixed,
God damn it, Claude, I'm gonna have you fixed.
There you go.
which the cat should have been fixed to begin with, but
Oh my goodness. Do you have anything else?
some of the stuff in the police station seemed superfluous to me a little bit.
The fellatio part?
I actually thought the fellatio joke was hilarious.
Could you give me the number at the sorority house?
It's, fellatio 20880. It's a new exchange, FE.
That's the number at the sorority house.
Fellatio?
Yeah, it's a new exchange. FE.
I wouldn't have cut a single second of that.
It was so stupid that it was
so-
great.
Yeah, it was really dumb. But like all of a sudden it's like, he was trespassing. You shot an officer on duty.
You fired on a police officer.
You goddamn right. I do it again, too. The bastard was trespassing. Hogan got an ass full of birdshot.
And it's like, oh, okay.
Like, what's up with that?
First of all, I know it's supposed to be set in America, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not so American that you can shoot a cop because he was trespassing and then not get arrested. That's like even in the 70s, I don't think that would have flied.
Instructions unclear for the Canadians.
Yeah.
Get the Mounties on the phone.
Right.
Time for quote or kill.
Okay.
We're going to pick our favorite quote or kill in the movie, or both. On the Mouths of Madness podcast, I picked the same kill, but Billy with the unicorn statue killing Barb in bed. It's scary, like where he's above her, he's all in shadow. I mean, it was just done great. But what was so cool about this kill to me is you had the juxtaposition of the Christmas carolers on the outside cut with, him killing her.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I think children's choirs are creepy as fuck.
They go hard though in like metal.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Random question too. What the fuck was up with those guys from the search party, like peeping in on those girls?
Sorry to scare you, miss, but we're with the search party.
We were just wondering if you noticed anything suspicious here tonight.
Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah, well, you just keep your doors and windows locked and you'll be safe.
This is just another example of shit that just didn't need to be in there that like padded the runtime.
That goes with fuck these men.
I
Men
mean, I
ain't
guess
shit.
so. There isn't a likable male character in the whole movie, other than maybe that guy who plays Santa.
The one good cop.
Ho ho
Oh,
ho! Fuck.
shit.
Ho, 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 shit.
Isn't Santa naughty?
Ho, 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 fuck.
Yeah, Lieutenant Fuller. Yeah, I agree. He's
thought-
he's kind of likable.
I thought Claire's boyfriend there, the hockey player, he was pretty competent guy because he made stuff kind of happen. He was like going to the police station, like, what the hell is going on here?
I want to know why nothing's being done about Claire Harrison being missing and why this idiot gets away with saying the things he does.
But he had like 40 seconds of screen time, so I was barely even thinking about him. I didn't even write down his name as a name I should remember in my phone. So
I think it was Chris. I could be wrong.
yeah, we'll find out in editing.
I also have a quote, and I did change my quote from what I said on the Miles of Madness podcast because I really have come to appreciate the one you mentioned earlier, Nathan, where Billy's on the phone call and he's just like going off, and then Barb like pretty much puts him in his place.
Oh, why don't you go find a wall socket and stick your tongue in it? That'll give you a charge.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm gonna kill you.
I'm going to kill you.
It's what you call a zinger.
All right, Jill, how about you?
I think I'm gonna go with the same kill. I love, you see the unicorn figurine, and it's like, dang, that's a really cool murder weapon. And like the other like
really
little
is.
glass, the other little glass figurines there. It's like, which one is he gonna choose? Obviously, the one with the big ass horn. The caroling, like you said, outside. She doesn't hear anything that's going on. I just love that kind of Christmas touch to it as well. Like, this is a Christmas movie. Something about caroling is just like so, I don't know, nostalgic. Like, people don't do that anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't know. I think it's a cool little touch to use that as like a distraction. What about you, Nathan?
My favorite kill is Mrs. McHenry, actually.
Oh.
I liked it because it felt like it was one of the early creative kills from an era where creative kills wasn't the norm. So to have her get the hook to the face and then being pulled up by the pulley and you see her legs fly up into the attic, I thought that was just pretty great. Just sad to see Mrs. McHenry go, but that was an entertaining way for her to go. Then my favorite line is Barb's speech about the turtles.
There's a certain species of turtle that can screw for 3 days without stopping. I went down to the zoo and I watched them. It was very boring.
The whole speech is great.
I love
went and
watching
watched
Mr.
the
Harrison's
zebras.
face. He's just like,
It's great because he's just such a uptight prick. He's having to listen to this vulgarity.
Barb, you're drunk.
She was drunk
She is.
all
Was.
the time. Yeah.
Hot mess Barb. We all know someone like her too.
Unfortunately.
Not anymore, really.
Okay. It's my sister for me, so.
Oh, yeah.
Dang.
You want me to cut that out?
No,
She knows.
Yeah.
she's not gonna watch my shit.
Time for our final rating. We're going to rate this movie from 1 to 5 stars. 5 being Crazy Billy, 1 being Fuckface Peter. Ah,
Fuck that guy.
fuck him.
Patrick.
Let's change his name to
Yeah,
Patrick.
just get his name wrong on purpose as a way of disrespecting him.
Exactly.
Oh, man. I'm going to start with Nathan on this one.
So I'm gonna give this movie 3.5 stars. I like it a lot, and I will probably watch it again next Christmas at some point. But there are some issues with it that, for me, make it not in the upper echelon of slashers, much less horror. The pacing, especially, is the big one because there are times where I get distracted by my phone or something. Which is not good. The issues with the plot holes at the end and the pacing are kind of what brings it down to 3.5.
That makes sense. But you would still put it on a Christmas horror movie watch list.
Oh yeah, it's got my recommendation. It's just a more tepid recommendation than I think the rest of the people on the shows that we make.
I am going to give Black Christmas 4.5. Like, I acknowledge and recognize the flaws with the plot and the pacing. I do think it does kind of still add some ambiguity to it. So, like, I'm not too mad about it because it kind of works. But yeah, this was really fun. It really reminded me of My Bloody Valentine, which is
Also
another
shot in Canada.
also shot in Canada, also like one of my favorite movies, and also like a holiday kind of based movie. Right. And I love that. I love things that are Christmassy, but also unsettling and scary. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. I'll probably watch it every Christmas, and I'm probably going to watch the 2006 rendition of it. But yeah, 4.5 stars. How about you, Kevin?
Everybody says the 2006 one is dog shit.
I still want to see it though.
I was actually thinking of seeing it before this, but I ran out of time.
Yeah, I
because
mean,
I wanted to just be able to say that, but I haven't seen it, so I don't
You
know.
really like the 2006 better.
Oh, that would have been awful.
I was going to ask if this makes you want to see the other remake, because there's two, the 2006, right, and 2020?
I think it was 2019.
2019? Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Would you give those a shot?
A original movie being good does not make me want to see the remake that everybody says is bad.
I gotcha.
So, no.
I gotcha.
Now that we've already done this review, I'm not going to seek it out. I was going to seek it out to be able to say something about it on the show, but I ran out of time.
So. Have you seen it, Kevin?
I haven't, no.
Okay.
The 2006 one, I did see a little bit because that brings back the actress who played Phil, I believe. I could be wrong on this, so don't quote me, but I believe it brings back Phil, and she is playing
the least developed character in the movie, mind you.
But she's playing Mrs. McHenry's role, so she's like the new house mother. So I don't know. I'd be interested, but I love this one so much that I don't know if I want to see a remake on it. For me.
Oh, that's right. You haven't given your rating yet.
I know. For me, I mean, it's no surprise. Black Christmas is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a 5-star. I think I agree with Nathan. There are some definite plot points and a little bit slow pacing, but I don't know. I'm just so immersed in this movie. The atmosphere brings me in. I want to be a part of it. I'm a male, but I want to be hanging out with Barb, and even though she's a little out there, and Jess and Phil and, Mrs. McHenry. This is a cool situation, I think. And Billy, I think, is one of the scariest killers in a movie. The phone calls are just super creepy. Mm-hmm. It's just, it hits on everything for me. And especially the stuff I love about Halloween, because you could really see what Halloween was influenced by this. Now,
the DNA of Halloween is definitely, started with this movie, or not it started with Psycho, but it's there's a lot of this movie's DNA in Halloween for sure.
I think it's done in the way that, it makes it timeless in a way, because you have somebody in the house, like an intruder. And like you said, this could happen in real life, but it doesn't go above and beyond. It stays and makes it scary. And, because a lot of these movies try to do too much with a big twist. And I get Peter's the red herring, but this doesn't go some supernatural route or something where Billy's an alien or some shit like that.
Right, right.
It stays very grounded, which I love. The atmosphere, the music too, I think is great because it stays in that Christmas atmosphere. And I really love how once Peter smashes that piano, we get that almost that sound too that carries a little bit throughout. It's great.
The soundtrack of this movie is great. We never touched upon that.
Yeah.
It's really damn good.
Yeah, it's awesome. And which, Jill, what you said about My Bloody Valentine too makes so much sense. I feel the connection with this, the characters, the character development. That one went a little bit more with an actual killer you see, obviously. But what's cool too is both of these movies don't really super capitalize on the killer being specific for their holiday. You don't get Santa Claus in this one, and in My Bloody Valentine, you don't get a heart man or some shit like that.
Yeah, you get a minor. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
It uses the holidays as really the atmosphere for what's going on. So I don't know. I recommend this a lot. If you haven't seen this one, go see it, and especially make it a part of your Christmas horror movie list, because I really kind of like some of these Christmas horror movies. I'm trying to get into more of them lately, but
Terrifier 3.
Terrifier 3.
Maybe it'll be free by Christmas and I can kind of
Maybe.
go.
But no,
Click,
Nosferatu's
go
going to
away.
come out, and we're going to see that instead for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
What a way to spend Christmas. Oh, ho, ho.
We'll do a review right away. Extra episode.
Yeah.
Ooh, might have to. Well, that does it for our review on Black Christmas 1974. We'll be back again soon with our Christmas episode, and we're going to be doing Gremlins 1 versus Gremlins 2. So look for that coming soon. Until then, I was going to say pretty big pussy, but that.
Oh my God.
I ruined
no, we're
it.
not.
All I can hear is that in my head. Barb, you're drunk. No, back to the padded room with you.